Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, where I go by AlwaysMoreSims here on YouTube, and today we're doing another speed build. So once again, I'm using the name Sage in my title. I'm pretty sure I have a house called like Sage Solitude or something. Well, I called this house Sagely Single, going with the idea that maybe it's like a single parent and their kid living here or something like that. I don't know. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house with a laundry room and a garage. This house, I feel like the outside of it looks very similar to like another house that I've built, but I feel like it was a while ago. Yeah, like it just feels familiar. And maybe it's just the round window on the stone in front, because I used like some stone on some accent walls, I guess you could say, on the front of the house, and I don't know. Anyways, I am uncreative with making up names for houses. We know this, so it shouldn't be much of a surprise that I've reused a color, because I love alliteration, and I normally put the color of the house in the title. That's normally how it works. But yeah, so I will say really quick, if you download this house, I forgot to put lights in it. There's like lamps in the bedroom, but I always, and I don't know why I do this, but I always save putting up like this hanging lights to actually illuminate the house. I always save that for last, and I just completely forgot to do it. Exported it, everything, just like you can download. There's no lights, so you'll have to place lights in it yourself. The only room that will light up is the bedroom. So just kind of a heads up on that. I also, as I typically do, I did not decorate the second bedroom, or I guess what would be the kids' room. I don't know. I just didn't. So if you move in and like you have a kid or something, then there's that. Yeah, I think in like the last speed build I was talking about the dog that I brought home for Christmas. I don't really remember what all I said, but kind of like a brief recap. He has been at the shelter that I get all my foster puppies from, that I'm like volunteering at all the time. There's even a possibility that I'm going to start working there here in a couple months. But he's been at the shelter since last November, and he was a pandemonium puppy. So he was bought during the world being shut down, and got really used to everyone being home, like someone always being home with him. And so he really struggled when his owners went back to work without crate training him. And so he didn't know how to be in the crate, and he's a really big dog. He's a greyhound mix, and if you know greyhounds, they're like notoriously big. they're really big dogs. Like, if you don't know them by name, Jenna Marbles and Julian, I always botch his last name, Salamita, I think is how you say it. Like, the dogs that they've rescued over the last couple years, like the really big dogs, like Bunny, and I think they rescued another one, but I don't remember what that one's name is. Bunny is a greyhound. So Hudson is the dog that I'm talking about from the shelter. He is a greyhound mix, and so he's like really big, and if he really puts his mind to it, he can normally cause enough damage to get out of crates. And so his owners surrendered him, which like really sucked, because again, he didn't understand what was going on, and just to be kind of like given up, like, oh well, here you go, like really sucks for him. And he has been adopted 4 times in the last year, and he has been brought back every time. And they always claim it was for separation anxiety, but they were always like, he's always been put in a crate. And if you see his kennel personality, like at the shelter in the kennel, he's like pacing and he's jumping, like you think he's going to clear the top of the kennel and like get out. He comes really close, but he has yet to actually do it. But he's jumping and he's barking and very restless, and that in and of itself, like when people see that, they're like, I don't want a dog that's like just that looks so restless and anxious and energetic like that. Now, his out of kennel personality is great. He's such a good dog. But between having a note on his kennel claiming he has separation anxiety, and his kennel personality, like, it's one of those things that when he's adopted, there's like this negative against him. Like, he's taken home with these people basically waiting for him to mess up, and as soon as he does, they bring him back. And this last time that he was adopted, he was taken, like, he was put in a very specific anxiety like kennel, and I have no idea what an anxiety kennel is. I've never seen one, but I guess they had like worked with him on it, on like being in this kennel and like trying to like remain calm, and they sent it home with this woman like to keep for him, and she apparently didn't latch it properly, and so he was able to bust out. He broke it in the process, and then oh no, Ellie, come here. And like then he started getting into her cabinets. No, come here, Elle. Come here. Ellie doesn't hear me. Hold on. Ellie's losing her hearing, unfortunately, because she's getting old. So I'm trying to call her over, and she's not coming because she's not hearing me. Anyways, so this dog, like, he just has kind of been dealt like a crappy hand in life. And again, I'm pretty sure that he's adopted out, and his owners are just waiting for him to mess up, and then they bring him back. But we've learned, because I brought him home on the 23rd, because I was gonna have him for Christmas. Now, I had this dog for Christmas last year, and oh, Ellie. Okay, she's laying down in my bathroom, but we'll see if that lasts. But it's just like, I feel bad for him because he's a really good dog, but he's a really big dog, and again, his kennel personality is not that great. And there's this big note on his kennel saying, hey, I have separation anxiety. So we brought him home on the 23rd, and I was supposed to keep him till the 26th. And initially, the shelter wasn't even actually doing their holiday foster program this year. They were initially going to actually try and keep all of the dogs at the shelter, just because they have it's always difficult to tell if they'll actually be able to like foster out all of the dogs for Christmas, because like last year we had like half the dogs still in the shelter, but the year before we had almost all of the dogs in foster homes for Christmas. So it's like really unreliable to know how many dogs are going to be placed in a home. Well, they told me this. I'm like, okay, so don't expect a foster. I'm not going to have a foster this year for Christmas. This will be the first year in 4 years that I've not had a foster for Christmas. But I was like, okay, you know, it is what it is. Well, then they text me like a few days before Christmas, and I'm like, hey, so Hudson was brought back, and we didn't know if you would want to take him again for Christmas. Now, see, Hudson was adopted, like that last time where he broke out of the anxiety kennel, he was adopted back in November. I didn't know he'd been brought back. I was like so busy with finals, and then just kind of like enjoying like the beginning of my winter break, that I haven't been out to the shelter in a hot minute, and so I didn't realize he'd been returned. So I texted my parents, because my parents they admitted like we were kind of looking forward to not having a dog for Christmas, because sometimes like the dogs get like like, I don't know, they just get into all of like the wrapping paper, and it just becomes like a huge mess sometimes, like not every year, but some of the years. So they're like, yeah, but I explained, I'm like, hey, it's Hudson, and they're like, yeah, okay, you know, bring him home. I don't know if you hear my bed behind me. He's still here. he was supposed to go back on the 26th, and he didn't. And I was actually house sitting, or dog sitting, whatever. Like, I was staying over at someone's house like the week after Christmas, starting on the 26th, which was why he was supposed to go back on the 26th, because I was supposed to actually, initially, when they reached out to me, they're like, hey, could you keep him till the 27th? And I'm like, no, that's not going to work, because I didn't want to dump him off on my parents just to leave and like not be home at night, not be home like a good portion of the day. So I'm like, I have to bring him back the 26th before I start dog sitting. And they're like, okay, yeah, well, we'll work something out. So we got it all worked out that I was going to drop him off on the 26th. And my parents like, well, what if you just like left him here with us? Like, what if you just left him home? Like, you go dog sit, he'll be fine here with us. And my mom's a teacher, so she was also off for winter break. So she was home. And my brother was home because he's on winter break. Like, my dad was the only one that wasn't home because he was still working, but it's, you know, someone was home. And so I reached out to the shelter. I'm like, hey, do you mind if we hang on to him for a little while longer? We want to work on this separation anxiety. But the thing is, like, we weren't seeing separation anxiety. He wasn't freaking out. And then I was actually sent pictures of his paperwork, and he was labeled as aggressive around other dogs and food aggressive. And I have yet, like, he's not aggressive with our dogs. Like, our dogs will actually, like, get snippy with him. Like, because he's really big. Like, he's huge. My dogs are all small. And so, like, and they're all girls, and so they just love to tell him off. And sometimes he thinks they're playing, other times, like, he, you know, tucks tail and runs. Like, he doesn't fight back. He understands that he is not the alpha here. Like, he gets it. So, like, we aren't seeing that. We're not seeing him show any kind of aggression with food. He isn't aggressive over toys. And the only times he's ever really freaked out is when we've had to, like, lock him in a room, either to, like, because that was the first thing we tried. Like, the first time, like, everybody left, I put him up in my room, and he tried scratching at my door, and he didn't actually do any damage, but I get the feeling if I had left him alone for longer than like 20 minutes, he really could have. But I just had to run an errand, and my parents weren't home. They had gone out to lunch, and my brother was working. So it was like he was home for like 20 minutes by himself, and he was scratching at the door. Other than that, like, he hasn't done any like damage. He hasn't torn anything up. I will say he's knocked over our kitchen trash can. He didn't eat anything out of the trash can. He just knocked it over. And he will, like, I had avocados sitting on the counter, and he dragged the avocados off the counter because he doesn't jump on the counter if anyone's home, but if he's home alone, he will jump on the counter, unfortunately. And he dragged the avocados off the counter, but he didn't eat any. Like, he didn't try to get into them. It's like he just, like, drags stuff off the counter and leaves it wherever it drops. Like, he doesn't do anything with it past that. So, I don't know. He's a really good dog. And my parents are, like, seriously considering keeping him. But the thing is, that would be dog number 7 for us. And my parents are like, we don't need a 7th dog. We don't need a big dog. We don't need a boy dog. So as of this moment, we are fostering until, like, further notice. But it's like they're kind of leaning towards keeping him. So I don't really know, like, if we do end up returning him. I don't know how long we'll have him. Like, again, he's hanging out on my bed right now. He looks like he's smiling. He's panting. We're probably going to have to go for a WALK. Here, he gets so excited if you go anywhere near where we have our leashes hanging up. He gets so excited. But anyways, we're going through the screenshots, so I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. The house, my gaming channel, and my Twitter are all linked down in the description below. Feel free to download the house, use it if you want. Don't forget to place the lights. Just make sure you give proper credit. It's not my best house, but I don't think it's too bad. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.